Hey Harley, it's Coach B here. Just breaking down some of your swings. I want to show you some of the things that I'm taking a look at so we can work on them next session. Overall, there's a lot of things I like and a couple tweaks, and I'll try to explain them as best as I can right now. Let's get started by just walking through some of these swings here. Music zoom, so I'm gonna optimize my screen here. The words might get a little blurry, but the video should be okay. So I'll play this loop and I'll just take a look at a couple swings that we're working with here. So a few of the things that I really like, I like your overall approach when you're putting in work here with us. You're not trying to do too much, which a lot of guys come out there and try to hit cage bombs. You're trying to focus on hitting the ball where it's pitched, um, and I like your balance overall. Very rarely are you caught off guard or tipping one way or the other. You're pretty balanced right down the center, which is pretty good. And you have a lot of solid contact here. This is one of the samples that I was working with. I wanted to show you a couple good things and things that stood out to me here. But if we just add a couple tweaks and adjustments here, I think it'd be a really tough out going forward this year. And I'll show you the frame by frame how to kind of break it down here. So looking at the different parts of your swing here, this was from a couple weeks ago here. I thought you had a really good session last night on the 14th. But breaking down the swing here, a couple things. Okay, so here's your load right here, foot coming off the ground. You do a pretty good job of what I call hiding that front hip here. Let me just pull up my pen and show you what I'm talking about. So right here, I like that you're closed up right here as you get into your load, which is pretty nice. You're not going to fly open right off the bat, which is good. Let me show you what happens on the way down, though, that I'm kind of worried about. Picking it up pretty close right there. And as this foot starts to come down, I'm worried about one little thing. It's not a big deal. We talked about it before as well. But it's just something to keep an eye on here. That front side, as that front foot comes down, it gets a little cut off on the bottom here. But you kind of begin to open up right there. So I'm talking about that front foot right down here. And let me clear this pen. So right here. When this lands, this front foot, sometimes you land pretty good, and they tell you to land, below a 45, so that's a 45-degree angle right there, below a 45. Sometimes this foot comes down, it's a little too open, kind of heading in this direction, and that's one of the things that I'm kind of worried about here, and I'll show you in a second when I replay the swing. But if this front foot lands open, it's going to go right up the front side here, chain effect. This knee, this hip's going to open a little too early, and eventually the shoulder, and everything's going to start heading this way. And sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not, but I want to work on definitely some consistency landing in this front foot right here. Let's see how you land here. Pick it up here. Front hips closed. I like that. Coming down here. Hands are still back. Good. Foot lands. Yeah, it's a little cut off. I'll show you some more examples, but you can tell it's kind of opening. Watch that front knee go from a closed position to open right there. Not the biggest thing in the world, but it could definitely lead to you losing some power as you're ready to kind of throw your hips and your hands at the ball. And overall, one of the things I really want to focus on here is I think you have a lot more explosiveness and a lot more power that we're really not tapping into. It's kind of going to be a theme with some of these adjustments that I go over. But continuing through this swing, front side lands. Here come the hips and the hands right here. Pretty good job there. Nice high hand path. Right through the ball. Ball's jumping off the bat there. Pretty good. I like your extension right there. Get through the ball. Heads on, decent follow through all the way to your back. I like that. Really getting into it there. Focusing on that back side, that back knee, back hip. It's a little upright. I feel like your initial stance can be improved a little bit. I'll show you what I mean right here. I'm going to go back to before the pitch even comes your way. Right here while you're waiting for the pitch. And we've talked about this. I've made a point of emphasis here with you in the last few sessions that I think that we can definitely start off, in a better athletic stance. And, it's okay right here, but as you start to watch the pitch come in, you kind of go upright, which I'm a little worried about. I definitely want to see pressure when you're getting ready into your load into these parts on the inside and ultimately his back hip here. So when you're starting off, make sure we're feeling a little energy building in our knees as we get set and ready to go. We're sitting in our hips, and then this chest, I want it a little bit over the plate here, so that when you're ready to go, right? We talk about the car jumping off the line, right? The guy's revving the engine, foot on the pedal, ready to go. He's not going to be sitting back and then caught when the light turns green, right? So he's ready to go. I want to make sure that every part of that body's connected and it's ready to jump off as soon as you're ready to get all those actions happening at once. But that's not a very big deal. But definitely get into more of an athletic stance. Another thing that I wanted to talk about in this preload stuff here. That back knee, taking a look at that back knee right there. I feel like you can start a little more back knee bend to generate a little more power on that rear side there. Okay, because you're starting to get a little stronger now. I know you've been working out, waiting for that to come. You grew a little, and there's definitely more power available that we can tap into. So we bend that back knee, as we get into our load. And I'm gonna show you some videos I have of guys really getting into their load. I feel like there's more power available there. Let me show you on the video clip so you can see straight through. I'll let this run a little bit. Definitely more energy and more power there. Oh, give me a second, computer's loading. So overall, I think there's more explosiveness available. I think there's more in the hips. I think if you complement that with your balanced, contact friendly approach, I think there's definitely a little more room for doubles and splitting the gaps a little bit more. Focus on that lower half right now. That back knee should almost drop to a 90 when you're coming through the ball. It's kind of up, it's not really that 90 degree in that back leg. There's some good swings here though. And I've seen we didn't have them on tape, but there's definitely you got better as the sessions went on. One thing I want to show you here, let me pull up a video I have of a guy that I like to use, especially a guy that doesn't try to do too much here. This is Fernando Tatis here, and it's a slow motion swing. And there's definitely some things that we can learn from looking at his lower half. I don't like to show guys that do too much. His swing's kind of simple, which I like. And the things I want to focus on with him, his front side, right? I wonder if we can get more out of your load on your front side. You kind of pick it up and put it right down. And when you pick up that front side, I know you're not like a high leg kick guy, but when you pick up that front side, you should be feeling it in that back hip. And you should be feeling the energy build. And you'll really see, even before you even start the video, look at his front side there. And as he's loading up, he's getting into that back hip, he's ready to unload, and you see that back knee start to bend a little bit. And then I want you to focus on his upper half, his backhand as well. So check this out, I'll play in slow motion. Front knee coming up, landing closed, you'll notice, hips are still closed, then it all opens right prior to the swing. It's got a little 90 degree almost in that back leg a little bit. I'll show it again in slow motion. Knees up. You don't have to go that high, obviously, but just to make sure you're getting into that lower half so you can explode out. As soon as the front foot lands, heel strike, the hips are going to fly, right? Get into that launch position right there and take off. Back knee bend right there. I'm going to play it again, and I want you to focus on the upper body here because he does something that I really like right here. Here, let me draw on this real quick. We talked about this, you and I specifically, at the end of the last session, and I thought that it made a major difference with you. I thought the ball was jumping off the bat in the last round. He's going to, sometimes we get into this like kind of V pattern here with our elbows kind of pointed down and we're not getting our hands back all the way. He does a good job. He's not even on his way down yet with that front side. And he's already, he has that, it's funny, you can use Machato's bat kind of as a line. He has that knob pointed down here, which you're pretty good at, but he's going to get these hands almost back to here before he gets into that launch point. This is going to come down, land here, plant. These hips are going to go forward. And you're going to see this 90 down here as well. But I definitely like this point back here where he gets to with his hands. So check that out for these next two swings. Focus on the upper body here. Watch those hands get back. Right there. He's ready to launch off, snap off right here. A lot of energy coming through, a lot of power. Of course, we're using an MLB example. He's one of the best in the business right now as a young guy. But definitely a lot we can learn from his load and how he's generating power. Let me pause it right here. Another thing that they talk about, I don't want to give you too much, but they talk about how a lot of guys generate power here is you see how his shoulders, he has a perpendicular line going to the catcher's glove here. He's really coiling up and getting into it. Same thing here. He's keeping a center of gravity down the middle here, which is pretty good. But look at the hips. You know, they say these hips are cocked and ready to unload. And he's going to keep it in that position as long as possible until this heel strikes down here, and it's all going to go. Sometimes I worry that your front side opens up a little too much at these levels, and you kind of lose some of that energy you're building. So definitely work on, you know, staying back, keeping those hands back to this point like we like, and, you know, getting ready to launch off. So here you go. One more swing from him. Yeah, it's generating a lot right there. I love Machado in the background, getting his timing down too. Yeah, it's pretty good. A couple guys on Twitter that I like that I thought I could show you. This is a guy, Mets hitting coach, Trey Hahn. I'm a big fan of some of the stuff he posts. And he does this 4D motion stuff that, you know, it's a little extreme, but it does a good job of showing you the lower half here on this right here. Don't worry about the right side. Worry about this side on the left right here. They were doing a drill. I don't care about the right side, but the left side really shows those hips, right? Cocking those hips, staying back, and then ready to unload that backside. And the main thing that I want to focus on over here is I definitely think there's more explosion and more power that you could build in your lower half. You know, keeping that front side closed as you build that energy and ready to unload when that heel comes down, that whole foot comes down. Something else I liked, I want to throw your way was another MLB example. I know these guys are the best, but one of the best at using that lower half is Nolan Arenado. And this swing is really pretty, but watch, just focus on the lower half here. He gets really into it. And you'll see that back bend, that 90 degree in the back, firm front side, you know, building up as much as you can before he unloads it when that foot comes down. So you see these guys, examples of them using their lower half. I think you have a little more to give there. But overall, I like some of the things that you're doing with your approach, your ability to make good solid contact. I know you don't strike out a lot, which is one of my favorite things. But just some things I think that we could use going forward. We could have this conversation about, you know, what we're trying to work on in the next session. So let me play these a couple more times, get another look. Two drills I think that really help you. We did it in the last session. We did the walk it out drill where you get into that stance. You take a step forward, 3 steps forward, and those hands are going back at the same time, and you're really generating power. I think that'll definitely help you in the next session. Another one is the pinch drill I think I've told you about, where you pick up the backside, pinching in the front side, holding up there, getting into the back hip, and then as that foot comes down, ready to launch off there. Definitely things we could work on going forward. But these are just some of the things that were on my mind. I hope I didn't throw too much at you there. But any questions you have, anything that you want to talk about, if they can't wait till next session, I'll put let me just put my information up. You gotta email me or whatever. Stop sharing this video screen and get to the regular screen. Okay. So if you have any questions about this, you can email me. If not, just bring it in, come with some questions, any of the terminology I'm using, and we'll take it from there. But a lot of good things, a couple of these adjustments, add them into the next couple sessions, and I think you can generate a lot more power. All right, thanks, man. I look forward to seeing you next time.